Have you heard of Arttystation storage? Well, you need to. So let's go over what Arttystation was nice enough to send me. They sent me the Arttystation Solo and the drawer module for the Solo. Inside you get a pretty detailed instruction manual, including with the Solo itself. I got this color pamphlet that kind of tells you what you need, whether it's glue, rubber mallet, and some other things. Now I want to touch base on this. Any of the tools that you need to assemble this, you can get on Arttystation's website. It's arttystation.com. And like for instance, he said that the rubber mallet would really help assembly, and you can pick that up on there. So just keep that in mind when you're placing your order. Let's break down the manual. It actually shows you what each part of the module is for. I mean, most of it's self-explanatory, but there's some things that you're unsure about, and it kind of helps that out. So when you get into the booklet, it is pretty detailed on the instructions on what to do. Again, I know some of it is pretty self-explanatory, but it does help to have that extra bit of visual guidance, right? Now, what sets this stuff apart is you don't need glue, except for a few specific areas. But for the most part, no glue at all. Now let's break down what we get in the box. I'm not sure, I'm guessing this is particle board or press board, but it is really, really well made, and it has a glossy feel to it. And what I'm going to do is build this thing real quick. I'm just going to kind of speed through this. Now, I messed up. It was not their fault. It was definitely my fault. I forgot the glue rack later on. You will see that. I do fix it. But what I want to talk about is the fitment. It can be a little discouraging for people because it is a very, very tight fit, and there is some fine tuning you have to do. This is cut out with a CNC machine, and it is trying to cut off square corners, and it can't do that because of it's a round bit. So there are some things you may have to trim, but a hobby knife makes quick work of that. Just a couple, trim it off, see if it fits, trim it off a little bit more, because you don't want to take too much off because then it'll be a loose fit. And they do say to use a rubber mallet. I did not have one, so a regular hammer. Just be careful with it. Now, the only bit of glue that I had to use on this module was the top. And it gives you a cool little stopper in the back so that you, if you put anything through the bottom, it doesn't go out the back and you lose it forever, so that's a plus. Now, the glue is very minimal, and it says to use Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Wood Glue, or Super Glue. I use just regular Elmer's glue, some PVA glue. I'm sure it'll hold just fine. I'm not going to put anything up there that's going to knock it off. But that is one of the only parts on this that you actually have to glue. Everything else is a super, super snug fit. So keep that in mind. And this thing is really, really giant for what it is. I was kind of surprised. Now let's get into the drawer module for the Solo. Same thing, detailed instruction manual. You get a lot of cool parts, and the same principle applies. Barely any glue is used. The only thing I had to use glue on was the front and back for the drawers itself. Now I did have to modify. One thing I noticed while editing this, those arrows point to a notch. So that means you can use the drawer module with another drawer module and stack them. The base on this one a little bit more because it seemed more snug than the Solo itself. But after some finagling, some trimming, I was able to get it. Now, the module for this, the drawer module itself, is not a standalone. So keep that in mind if you're going to place an order. You will need the Solo itself to use the Solo drawer. But their website is pretty easy to navigate, and I'll go over that here in a minute. But this is made and perfectly designed to go underneath the Solo itself. So just keep that in mind. It has no top. The Solo becomes the top of this drawer module. The only problem that I had with this one was getting that long strip, which is your drawer stopper, to fit through there. And as you see, just a little slight modification. Had to do that on the edges so that I can get it in there, and it fit perfect. So it was a little tight, but like I said, with your hobby knife, you can make quick work of it. While this is playing, I want to just go ahead and say that I'm extremely pleased with this, and you'll see what I'm talking about at the end. But They really outdid themselves with this, and if this is any indication of how any of their more expensive ones are, I'm greatly impressed. Now, building the drawers was also straightforward. I do like that this company uses, for most of the stuff that's going to be touching or visible, most of it is covered in this white film. I'm guessing it's like a veneer paper, and it does really well. Most of the companies that I've seen only put it on one side, which not a big deal, but I think I like the aesthetic portion of that. And this stuff seems to hold up really well to adhesion to the glue, so that is also a plus. I was kind of worried, especially with that film that they put on there. Now, these dividers are pretty neat too, and it also highlights that in the user manual or the assembly manual, depending on what size paints or what brand paints you're going to use, it shows you where to put the dividers, which is again something else that other companies that I've seen don't do. So that is one step in the right direction. So once I get this thing finished, we'll kind of go through and assemble it on. I don't show me assembling it on. It's the same pretty much straightforward principle. But the drawers have a little gap next to them, which works out so it allows it to slide in and out a lot better. But here it is in its all finished glory. Just look at this thing. This thing weighs a lot, and I'm able to pick this thing up by the top and nothing moves. And there's no glue. So that does really, really well. Now I've kind of got it just mocked up on my workstation, just kind of going through all the stuff that I've got on there. I don't think this is going to be the final, and I've added all my brushes, but it seems really sturdy. And the square glue holders also hold the Mr. Weathering Color pigments, the Mr. Cement S, the Tamiya Extra Thin. The drawers are kind of short on this one, but it does hold the P3 paints, the E7 paints, and the GW paints just fine. Now onto the website. When you go onto there, just arttystation.com, it is a little weird at first because it asks you if you want English, but the click English is in Korean, so you don't really know. But this is all of the kits that they've got. They've got the Opera, Concert, Symphony, Piccolo, and then the Solo, which is what I showed you. Now the Opera is their giant one, it's their modular one, and this is all of the things that you can pick up for that. Now this is what the Opera looks like as their standalone kit. There is the extra spray booth attached on there. There are some extras you can purchase to make that spray booth better, like those switches, the blower motor, some other stuff. The Symphony is also a really good one. It looks pretty large and it's not bad price, but these are some of the options that you can add on to the Symphony itself. Now their website does go into a detailed breakdown of what each specific one has, which is another really cool thing that I was not expecting. I was just kind of playing around on their website and started scrolling down and saw that it gives you that breakdown. So that is a cool thing. If you're unsure about which one you want to go with, just scroll down when you're clicking on whatever module set you want, and it'll kind of help sway your decision. Now I will have to say though, I've been on their website for probably a solid 2 hours looking and comparing all the different modules or setups, and my decision is not any easier. My final thoughts on this kit is wow. It is incredibly well put together. It is a solid piece of equipment and it will look great on your desk. Do I recommend getting this? Absolutely. And plus also I have a promo code, and I will put that in the description below and on the screen. It's NSAB 2020_10 to get 10% off your order. Plus they've got free shipping. Well guys, that's all I've got for today. So have a wonderful day. Bye.